Nightmare. What is the scariest thing in the world? Khan absent-mindedly asked Phi as they both looked up at the sky that was starting to darken. Black clouds were about to cover the sky, a heavy rain was coming. Unseasonal rain. I can't run any rides today, my child will be hungry. Phi was timid, he couldn't stand the habit of daydreaming and thinking which should not be in a woman like Khan. Khan scratched his half-blonde, half-black hair that had not been dyed yet and muttered. I'm afraid of dreaming, last night I dreamed about it again. AC Mong. Phi cursed. Aren't you worried that it's raining today and you won't be able to make any money? Why are you still dreaming? Khan didn't even bother to look at Phi's frowning face, she was used to it. This guy's temperament was still the same, grumpy and nagging, ever since his wife left him for someone richer than him, leaving behind a child who was only 2 years old, a single father raising the child. Phi spoke less and less, just buried his face in working, living, and raising the child. Feeling sorry for his friend who grew up since he was young, Khan often called him to take him to work, and paid him a little more than other people. The sky and earth were flooded, the wind blew water onto the porch where the two of them were squatting, looking out at the street. Phi pulled the bike closer and looked at Khan and said, "Get in the car and sit down. If you sit there for a while, your clothes will get wet and you'll get sick." Khan hugged her bag and climbed into the car. She looked at Phi with a bit of emotion. He was truly a hypocritical guy. "You are so gallant with women." Khan teased. Phi sat without saying anything, turned his back, took out a cigarette and lit it. The pungent smell of cheap cigarette smoke mixed with the damp smell of the soil, plus the sound of the pouring rain, created a sad atmosphere in the dark space of the afternoon sky. In that white, hazy curtain of rain, Khan suddenly heard the sound of a piano echoing, the sound of the piano somewhere in the pouring rain, among the rickety roofs of the poor working-class neighborhood on the outskirts of the city. Or it was the sound of the piano that haunted her in the nightmares that appeared every night, always making her wake up in the early morning and unable to fall back asleep. Khan always saw her, or rather a vague figure, wearing a white dress, her thick hair carelessly falling over her shoulders, passing by her face in the misty smoke. Then the sound of the piano arose, it was her face still hidden in the black of her hair, bending over the piano keys. The sounds became more and more intense. Khan was horrified when she saw the piano keys covered in blood from the girl's fingers. Khan felt a sharp pain in her hand, she raised her hand and, her 10 fingertips were also covered in blood. At this moment, Khan was the girl sitting playing the piano. It hurt so much. Khan wanted to stop but her fingers kept pressing down without stopping. Every time a sound was made, she felt the pain piercing her heart. "Hey, you there, are you sleeping? Wake up, the customer is calling." Khan opened his eyes in confusion and saw Lin standing with her hands on her hips. "Did I fall asleep?" Khan looked around, the pub was still noisy. "Are you drunk?" Lin frowned. "Don't pretend, hide down here to sleep, it's so cool, there are a lot of customers, that guy Tuan is calling you. Don't you worry about going to work, are you lazy because you're being spoiled by Tuan?" Khan got angry. "You bitch, I've been entertaining some guys in the VIP room for a while now, just sat down to rest for a bit, you little brat dares to speak harshly to me?" Lin glared, she was about to attack back when a man's voice stopped her. "What are you two doing?" Without waiting for an answer, Tuan continued. "It's crowded and you're still standing here looking for trouble." Lin goes to the VIP room. Khan goes to the bar with me. "Hurry up, what are you still standing there for? Do you want your salary deducted?" Lin did not dare to argue, obediently turned away, although she was still feeling resentful, so she kept cursing as she walked. "This girl needs to be taught some manners," Tuan said. "Come on, he's still young." Khan sighed. "When I was his age, I was just as wild. Let me go put on some makeup and then go up." Khan staggered into the room. Her face was pale and powdered in the mirror. Khan put on lipstick and reapplied some powder. She realized that the signs of aging had appeared on her beautiful face, which was her pride, a few crow's feet, tired wrinkles on her forehead. It was most obvious when she stood next to young girls like Lin, the youthful exuberance in her had gradually disappeared. Lighting a cigarette, Khan sighed. Her life was lost in drunkenness, in cigarette smoke, in parties, not knowing what tomorrow would bring. Absent-mindedly, she blew the cigarette smoke into the mirror. The smoke gradually spread, revealing her face. She smiled, but the face in the mirror had no emotion. It stared at her with its black, ghostly eyes. Khan jumped and fell to the floor, terrified, quickly running out of the room and slamming the door. Panting, she leaned against the door, raising her hand to her chest, trying to stay calm. Fokio Bar is filled with cigarette smoke. The music drowns out the screams and laughter. Tu Hai Restaurant is the most luxurious place to eat and play in Tonda area. In addition to the spacious garden food court, there is also a bar with full entertainment for the guests. The bar has an impressive name, Fokio. Every night is full of guests. True to its name, this place is full of beautiful long-legged girls, ready to serve the gods wholeheartedly. In the loud music, the bodies are squirming in short skirts, wrapped around the pillars. The DJ mixes the music like a trance. Everything behind the bar door makes any man want to forget everything in the world. Being sent by Tuan to the VIP table. Khan drank like a madwoman, drinking and laughing loudly. She played rock paper scissors with the guests. The rule was that if she lost, she would drink 2 glasses in a row. No one knew how much she drank, how much she laughed, how she danced. Khan just wanted to get drunk, really drunk, hoping that the drunkenness would make her forget all the worries and sadness of her life. She also didn't know why she was sad, why she couldn't see herself as simple as Vi always said when she bothered him. A whore like you, why are you so talkative? If so, why don't you worry about living a decent life? Khan smirked. That bastard, if he doesn't open his mouth then it's fine, but if he does open his mouth he'll curse. But what he said is right. If you're a prostitute then why don't you just stay a prostitute and finish being a prostitute? The music was getting louder and louder. Khan was getting more and more lost in the alcohol fumes. The screams echoed in her mind. Khan dropped the glass of wine and raised her hands to hold her head. Suddenly she felt her body go limp. Her mind was spinning. Khan collapsed. Before falling into the dark abyss she only had time to see Tuan rushing towards her in panic. That melody rang out again. The piano played softly. Khan leaned against the door and looked out into the luxurious room. The girl was sitting next to the piano, immersed in the music. Khan rubbed her eyes. Today there was another person beside her, a man standing next to her, looking at the girl who was smiling happily. Khan could not see the man's face clearly. Suddenly the piano stopped. The girl slowly turned to look at her. Khan was startled. She was crying. Her face was covered in tears. Suddenly Khan felt suffocated. Her throat felt like someone was squeezing it. Khan tried to gasp for air. She raised her hand to her neck and scratched, trying to escape from an invisible hand that was squeezing her. Khan jumped up, gasping for breath, suddenly feeling a sharp pain in her hand. She looked over, grimaced. The 4-needle had been torn out. A long trail of blood flowed down the pure white mattress. Khan looked around. She was startled when she saw a wrinkled, sunburned face staring at her intently. Before she could regain her composure, the woman said, "Are you awake? What are you screaming about? You drank too much and made a scene, not letting anyone sleep. I lost sleep all night because of you." Where am I? Hospital. The timid old lady. Why am I here? I don't even remember, really. Kids these days are so bad. What kind of girl is this, drunk to the point of not knowing anything? Doctor, she's awake. Khan sat there for the doctor to examine her. Her mouth was bitter and her head was aching. At that moment, Phi walked in, carrying a large basket. You got alcohol poisoning. Tuan brought you here and then he called me, told me to come see you when I have time. I brought you porridge, eat it while it's hot. Looking at Phi's rough hands scooping up spoonfuls of steaming porridge, Khan suddenly felt hungry. Phi sat and watched her eat. Why are you like that, girl? Why do you drink so much? Do you want to die? Stop talking, I have a headache. Khan grimaced. Phi sighed as he looked at his stubborn and headstrong friend. Since they were little, Phi, Khan and Tuan had played together. Because they were the same age and lived near each other, the three were very close. At that time, Khan's family was very rich. Do you remember, Ms. Lan used to cook porridge for us to eat breakfast? Phi repeated, his voice filled with sadness. Khan stopped eating, his eyes still looking down at the bowl of porridge, but his gaze suddenly seemed to stop at a distant past. Well, at that time my mother knew you often had to go to school hungry, so she asked me to invite you over to eat with her. The memory made both of them suddenly fall silent. The chirping of the magpies in the wooden cages on the porch. Mrs. Chow looked around the vast garden with her tired eyes, resplendent with the colors of the flower pots. But she had no desire to admire the beautiful scenery of the early morning. Her eyes were sunken and tired, her ears were ringing with the gloomy sounds of last night's dreams. The nightmares that made her panic every night and she couldn't sleep. Her eyes were red as if she still had the fear from the dream. It was her, that dead woman, her ghost had been lurking around for so many years, trying to grab her, tearing her apart in anger. That gaze had haunted her for so many years, all the hatred was filled in that gaze, the bloodthirsty gaze of a demon. Mrs. Chow groaned, unconsciously raising her hand to her neck. She still clearly remembered that bloody hand squeezing her throat, the sharp nails seemed to want to pierce her flesh. She writhed trying to escape from that face, those bulging eyes looked at her, making her numb. She let out a terrible scream. When she woke up, she was drenched in sweat. Tonight's dream was so real, unlike the previous times. This time Mrs. Chow felt real pain. Raising her hand to her neck, she suddenly frowned. This morning when she looked in the mirror, she almost fainted when she saw the bruises on her neck. She was stunned, she couldn't believe her eyes, but it was true, the finger marks were long and painful. Could it be? It couldn't be? She muttered. Miss. Lost in her thoughts, Mrs. Chow did not realize that the maid, Hai, was standing in front of her, calling her. She had to call her several times before she startled and looked up. When will you visit your uncle today? Let me prepare your things. Yes. Mrs. Chow thought. You just pack her things, she'll leave right away. Oh, you call Hien and tell him to come pick her up soon, tell him to hurry. The girl obeyed and went in. Mrs. Chow also stood up. She suddenly looked towards the end of the garden, suddenly shivered, as if a cold wind blew through. Khan wandered around the trees surrounding the hospital grounds. She curiously looked at the hospital rooms, the patients lying on the beds. After walking for a while, she sat down on a stone bench at the end of the yard. She frowned, the bench was still wet with night dew and cold. At this hour, no one came to sit, the surroundings were so deserted, the fresh, cool air of the early morning made Khan completely awake. She leaned back and leisurely looked up at the blue sky. Khan sighed, bored. Sometimes she wished she didn't exist in this shitty life that she often cursed when drunk. Suddenly she felt her mouth dry. Khan hadn't had a drop of alcohol or a cigarette for 3 days. Being sober made Khan uncomfortable and restless. When she wasn't drunk, she often thought about random things, or remembered old things that she swore to herself she would never remember. Like right now she misses her mother. When she is sick or has a poor appetite, her mother often sits beside her, taking care of her, feeding her each spoonful of rice and porridge. At night when she cries out in her sleep because of her dreams, her mother holds her tightly in her arms. But she doesn't know how she will feel when she sees her once obedient daughter become like this. Suddenly, a trembling hand gently placed on Khan's shoulder, along with the trembling voice of a man. Hey girl! Khan turned around in surprise. She saw the stunned face of an old man. When Khan turned around he opened his eyes wide as if he couldn't believe his eyes. His lips trembled as if he wanted to say something but because he was too surprised he couldn't form words. Then he staggered and fell to his knees. The shiny, luxurious black BMW car glided out of the gate of Noklin Villa, leisurely passing through the quiet, shady green streets of Tao Dayin area before merging into the crowded city. You went to visit your uncle early this morning? The driver said cheerfully. Well, I don't have anything to do this morning so I came in early to cheer him up. I admire you so much when I see you taking care of my uncle. You two have lived for so many years and still maintain such affection. That's rare. Because we have lived together for a long time, our love and affection have grown stronger, Uncle. We are an old couple, how much longer do we have? Mrs. Chow left the sentence hanging as she looked through the car window. She put her hand on her neck and suddenly said, Uncle Hien, turn into the alley ahead for me, I'll go see Miss Sao for a bit. The driver seemed to be very familiar with the alley. The car stopped in front of a small alley that the car could not get into. Mrs. Chow got out. I'll be right out, wait a minute. Her footsteps hurried on the bumpy, watery road of the half-dark, half-lit alley. She frowned slightly, dodging the pile of trash on the road. A few people in the house looked at her strangely. Her luxurious appearance was completely different from the poor, dirty scene here. Stopping at the small house located at the end of the alley, Mrs. Chow raised her hand to knock on the door. When she panicked and stepped back, the door suddenly opened. From behind appeared two women. They glanced at Mrs. Chow, then walked quickly. In just a moment they disappeared around the corner. Mrs. Chow also quickly stepped into the dark door frame. The sound of the door closing was heard creaking. Even though she had been here many times, Mrs. Chow still could not get used to the smell of incense mixed with the musty smell that kept rushing straight into her nose, making her eyes sting. In the dim light, the figure of a woman sitting hunched over on a mat in the middle of the house looked very strange. On her back was a large hump that made her sitting posture even more crooked. The old woman spoke. Are you there again? Yes, I come to ask you again. Mrs. Chow quickly replied, then sat down. The old woman looked and examined. Did you dream about it again? Yes. I've seen it very clearly lately, especially last night. Look. Mrs. Chow pulled down her scarf. The red lines had bruised. The hunchbacked old woman did not say a word, hastily took out the incense and lit it. The smoke billowed out, causing Mrs. Chow to cough and choke. Then she took the deck of cards and spread it out on the mat, mumbling something that was inaudible. Khan quickly helped the man sit on the chair. His hands were still shaking. Are you okay? No. No. Are you okay? You look so weak. Where's your family? The man waved his hand, shook his head, indicating that there was no need. Khan looked at him. The man was about 60 years old or a little older. Looking at his demeanor, one could guess that he was a respectable person, with power and wealth. Although his face was wrinkled, his hair was gray, but his decisive and strong demeanor gave him a noble aura. Especially his eyes were very bright and gentle, making Khan suddenly remember her father, the ill-fated man who had passed away long ago. Khan suddenly felt sad. She quickly stood up. Then you sit down and rest. The man's hand raised. Khan was startled. His hand tightly grasped hers. Can I sit down and talk to you? His voice was urgent, as if begging. Khan looked at his large hand with the diamond ring on it and then looked at him with a scrutinizing gaze. Mrs. Chow ran out of the alley. A few splashes of mud stained the hem of her dress, but she didn't care. Her heart was burning like fire, mixed with fear. She rushed into the car, much to the driver's surprise. Her breathing was so rapid that she had to use her hand to cover her chest. Her heart was beating so fast. No. No way. Did the hunchback lady say something wrong? In the dimly lit atmosphere, incense smoke billowed. She looked at the cards and then stared at Mrs. Chow with wide, staring eyes. She's back. She wants revenge. Her voice was trembling. She's dead for a long time. Mrs. Chow groaned. She still keeps haunting me. That resentful soul will never let me go. Never, never. No. No way. Mrs. Chow held her head. Are you feeling unwell? We're at the hospital. The driver's voice called. Yeah, I have a headache. Let me get off here. You find a place to park. She tiredly carried her basket down and squeezed into the crowded crowd in front of the hospital gate. Are you living alone? Since my parents died, I live alone. What are you doing? Khan suddenly paused for a moment and then hesitated. I work as a waitress in a restaurant. I don't know why Khan hesitated to say her job directly. Unlike the many times she had smirked in contempt at the rude, insolent questions of other men. Is your job good enough to cover your living expenses? Well, temporarily. Khan hesitated even more. Her usual boldness seemed to have disappeared. Her eyes kept looking down as if she wanted to hide, like a child lying and afraid of being discovered. Suddenly there was a startled cry from behind. Mrs. Chow had been standing behind for some time. She looked pale as if she was about to faint. The basket in her hand fell down. She frantically bent down to pick it up. Her mouth kept muttering like a madman, "Impossible, impossible. Hey lady, you came in so early. Last night you said you would come in at noon." Mrs. Chow seemed to not hear anything, just staring at Khan. She also looked back. Strangely, she saw in her eyes a strange fear. Khan stood up and left for her room. When she passed by the woman, she felt her body shrink and tremble. Just arriving at the door, Khan saw Tuan had arrived at some point. Her eyes lit up. She quickly pulled Tuan to the corner at the end of the hallway. "Do you have it?" Khan opened her hand. Tuan reached into his pocket and took out a small pack. Khan quickly sat down and opened the pack to take out a cigarette. Tuan also sat down. The sound of a Zippo lighter being lit, Khan took a breath and then playfully blew smoke into Tuan's face. He frowned and turned away. "Stop it." Tuan stood up, frowning. "I'll take you home later, it's so boring here." Khan looked at Tuan. "Are you feeling better yet that you want to go home, or will you just collapse again? You'll die early if you stay here." "Wait a bit, I'll go change my clothes and come back to you. I still have work tonight." She took a drag, feeling like dancing and getting drunk again. Khan narrowed her eyes and blew a puff of smoke into the sky. Tuan had just taken Khan out of her alley when suddenly, a motorbike revved up and rushed straight at the two of them. Scream, scream. The two motorbikes braked suddenly, the tires scraping a long trail like smoke, leaving black marks on the road. Tuan swerved, crashing into the curb. Khan screamed in horror, her face hitting Tuan's back, her face darkening. Before she could regain her composure, she heard Tuan scream. "F you, what do you want, you dog?" Khan was startled to see the angry face of the man who had just crashed his car into her. It was Phi. "I want to stab you to death, what's the point of living like you?" Phi's face turned red. He rushed to grab Tuan's neck. A punch like a thunderbolt made Tuan stagger and fall on the grass. Phi was so fast that he couldn't dodge. Tuan felt his eyes darken. Blood flowed from his nose. The pain made Tuan dizzy, but also made him crazy. He jumped up, rushed to retaliate, but only let Phi hit him a few more times. Compared to Phi, he was just a scholar. Khan rushed to block Phi. "Are you crazy, you? Why are you looking for trouble again?" The two men, drunk with blood, glared at each other. Phi pushed Khan's hand away. "If you continue to follow him, one day you will die, Khan." His voice was somewhat earnest. Tuan put his hand on the bike to try to stand firm. "Phi, you son of a bitch, you bastard, you. I'm a street urchin, I'm a son of a bitch, I'm not as despicable and miserable as you, selling out my friends and lovers. You're a dog, I use my strength to support myself, and you, make a living off the bodies of women, you dog." "Phi, shut up." Khan shouted. "Haven't you realized its dog face yet and still follow it?" Phi pointed at Tuan's face. "How many times has it tricked you? How many people has it sold you to? Haven't you opened your eyes yet?" Phi's eyes were filled with anger. Khan looked at him. She said each word. "How many times have I told you, my business, leave me alone?" "You." Phi blushed. "You go home and pick up little Xiao, don't make trouble here." Khan turned to Tuan. Suddenly Phi rushed forward and grabbed her arm. "Where are you going?" "I'm going to work, I'm late." "You can't go with that dog anymore." Khan pushed his hand away, coldly. "You are nothing to me." She climbed into Tuan's car. He knew he couldn't beat Phi, staying would only get him a few more fatal blows, so he quickly sped off after threatening. "Then I kill you, you dog." Phi angrily looked at Khan. He felt helpless, he felt like a useless man. Ignoring the people around and the passers-by who were standing around curiously. Phi screamed like a madman, kicking the bike down the street in anger. At Knocklene Villa. Mrs. Chow walked down the stairs wearily. The house was deserted, ever since Tian Kim, their only daughter, got married and followed her husband to America. This big house had become increasingly empty. She looked around, sighed, all because of Mr. Man. Her husband didn't want to leave this house, so she had to stay. Otherwise, she would have followed her daughter a long time ago, instead of staying in this place where so many bad things had happened. Mrs. Chow was a cunning and resourceful woman, growing up in an orphanage and then adopted. The hard life as a child had tempered her into a scheming and reckless person. But for the first time, she felt extremely scared when she saw her in the hospital yard that morning. That face, so similar, as if she was seeing her right in front of her eyes, walking, talking and laughing. How could someone look so similar? While thinking, Mrs. Chow wandered around the house. Her feet led her to a door. She woke up. She was standing in front of the door of the big room at the end of the hallway. The door was closed tightly. She stared at the old, shiny brown wood. She reached out to touch it. Suddenly the door gently opened. Mrs. Chow was startled. This room was always locked, or did the maid come in to clean and forget to close the door? She was about to turn away but suddenly stepped back, pushed the door open and went inside. The room was 3 times larger than the other rooms in the house, beautifully decorated with paintings and statues. According to Mr. Mana's request, the furniture in the room was still kept the same as when the owner was alive. She looked at the vase of fresh pink lotus flowers on the table, bitterly sighed. It turned out that after so many years, he had never forgotten. To him, that woman, even though she was dead, was still more important than her. She walked to the beautiful piano in the corner of the room and sat down. The keys were clean without a speck of dust. She could tell that he had been sitting here for hours, waiting for something that would never happen. Her hands touched the keys indifferently. The sounds rang out. "Let me play for you." The girl has black eyes, long hair, and runs her fingers over the piano keys. "You play the guitar so well. I wish I could play like you." "Easy, I will teach you, come here." Mrs. Chow ran her fingers over the piano keys, and a familiar melody rang out. Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata. "You can play now." The girl looked at Mrs. Chow and smiled gently. She was startled. The music stopped. There was no sound around. There was no one beside her. She put her hand on her chest. Her heart was beating very hard. When she regained her composure, the girl's face appeared again, fresh with a gentle smile right in the photo frame in front of her. She reached out to take it, looking at that face. "You are still the same, beautiful, proud, rich and intelligent. You are always the most beautiful and the most talented. The precious flower of your parents, the one he worships." She reached out to touch the face of the person in the picture and put it back. A cold wind suddenly rushed in through the large window that had been opened at some point. Mrs. Chow shivered and turned around. The white curtains fluttered and fluttered. The wind blew harder and harder. The piano keys suddenly played slow sounds. Then there was a cracking sound. She let out a terrified scream. The face of the person in the picture was covered in blood. The broken pieces of glass made the face even more terrifying. The black eyes stared at her. Mrs. Chow ran out of the room, calling out the name of her daughter Hai. "What's wrong with you?" Little Hai ran up from the kitchen, panicked, looking at Mrs. Chow. Her face was pale. She ran and held her chest. I just saw." Mrs. Chow stopped, unable to speak. Should she tell her that she was scared? But Hai was very timid. If she heard it she would run away. She tried to calmly cover it up. She saw a big black cat in the room. The girl laughed. "You scared me. I thought it was something else, but there are a lot of stray cats around here. Sometimes they even sneak into the kitchen to eat." "How rude." Mrs. Chow sat down, trying to regulate her breathing, and asked, "Have you seen him?" "He just left, miss." "Did you say where to go?" "No. I just saw you call Mr. Hien to take him to work." She looked out into the yard. Since he returned home from the hospital, Mr. Man had been like a lost soul, locking himself in his room all day. Because of that girl? Mrs. Chow shook her head. No, at first glance it looked like her, But that girl seemed to be a prostitute, with blonde hair and a brazen face like that. There was no way she could be related to her. Mr. Man also didn't like that kind of woman. People just looked alike, thinking that she was temporarily relieved. She turned to her second daughter. "When you finished cleaning, didn't you close Ms. Lean's room door? I saw the door open just now." "Huh? I remember closing it." "Not yet. If you don't believe me, go see." Hai hurriedly ran upstairs. Mrs. Chow followed, with the intention of looking at the photo frame again. But she was afraid to go in alone. The door was still open. Hai scratched his head and ears. "Oh my gosh, I really forgot." "Don't tell your uncle, he'll scold me to death." "Why don't you go see if a cat is breaking in?" The two of them walked in. Mrs. Chow looked. Strangely, the window was closed, bolted tightly. She looked towards the piano. There was nothing strange, and the picture frame was still intact, without a single crack. Saigon at night is truly a place of luxury. The daylight is not as bright as the lights on, but behind that glittering splendor, the dark places have the most magical attraction. Fokio Bar was crazy with music, like every night. Khan crossed her legs on the chair, arching her back in a short dress with a low cut that exposed half of her chest. She squinted, waving to a few regulars. Tuan walked over. "The bald old man is asking for you again." Khan pouted. "That candy guy? He said double the price, otherwise, forget it." "Damn, playing with girls but afraid of spending money." "Humph, old lady but still arrogant." Lin appeared from somewhere and spoke with a sour voice. Khan turned away, not caring. "Mr. Tuan. Lin is being coy, let me serve that table." But he only accepts Khan. Tuan grimaced. Khan burst out laughing and blew the cigarette in Lin's face triumphantly. Lin pouted and turned away. "Can you give me a discount? I'm a regular customer." Khan continued to calmly smoke. Tuan cursed before leaving. She sat motionless in the flickering lights. Since the day she returned from the hospital, she felt her health had weakened. What was more frightening was that the nightmares became more and more frequent, more real, and also made her more painful, especially when she heard that song playing. Her heart was drowned in despair, her throat felt like it was being strangled and she fell into a deep dark abyss. Only her screams echoed in her ears. Then Khan saw a bloody face looking down from above the abyss, the face of a girl, exactly like her. Every time the nightmare woke her up, she looked around in panic. There was no one, the fear was still there. Khan longed for someone to be by her side at times like this, but a tear rolled down. Her life now had only endless nightmares beside her every night. Khan finished her drink. Tuan appeared again. He came to her side, pointed to the end of the room. In the light, Khan was startled when she saw the face of that man, Mr. Man. The doorbell rang loudly. Hai hurriedly ran to open the door. Her face fell when she saw Lam. The muscular man, sitting proudly on the PS, sped into the yard. Lam was known as Mrs. Chow's cousin. Everyone knew that. Since Mrs. Chow got married, he became a diligent cousin, always there to help his orphaned sister. Thanks to that, he also enjoyed her wealth. From the fact that Lam was allowed to work in the family company, to the fact that he naturally considered this villa as his own home. Although he was about 50 years old, thanks to his tall appearance and a comfortable life, he looked much younger than his real age. His face was always cheerful, often laughing out loud to appear generous. His cunning were hidden in his sharp eyes. The truth about him only Mrs. Chow knew. Cousin was a perfect cover for Lam. In fact, he was just Mrs. Chow's lover, from the time she had not yet become the owner of this villa. "Where is Miss Ba?" Lam asked the girl. "Yes, upstairs." "Let me call her." Hai said softly. She was afraid of Lam. His arrogant and hooligan blood still appeared when he yelled at the people. The person he considers inferior. "No, let me go up." After saying that, he went up, ignoring Hai, who was mumbling something. Mrs. Chow had just finished bathing, and was sitting in front of the dressing table, absent-minded. Lately, she had been feeling restless and anxious, with a premonition that something bad was about to happen. She looked in the mirror, and the bruises on her neck had not yet healed. Lately, Mr. Man was often away from home, only coming home late at night. He looked happy and healthy, and strangely, when he was home, he often went into that room. While she was lost in thought, she did not notice that Lamb was behind her. He walked over and hugged Mrs. Chow tightly. She was startled and screamed, recognizing Lamb. She scolded. "What are you doing? You startled me. Hey, be careful, I might see you. That girl is downstairs, what are you worried about?" I closed the door. "Be careful, or something will happen." Lamb laughed crazily. "I'm not scared, we're almost free, everything is going to be ours, right baby?" Mrs. Chow frowned. "Be careful what you say, Mr. Man is still touching." "What? Why did you call me and say he wasn't home?" Lamb was startled. "I mean he's alive and well." "Oh well, not for long, his health is very bad." "Okay, let's talk about that later. Now I called you here to talk about something." "What?" "It seems." Mrs. Chow hesitated. "I saw a ghost." "Ghost? Where?" "In this house, exactly in that room." "Which room?" "Room, sister. Lean." Mrs. Chow whispered. Lamb burst out laughing. "Are you going to tell me about your silly dreams again?" "No, this morning I went to that room and saw." Lamb listened absent-mindedly. He didn't believe in ghosts or anything, only some crazy women believed in those things. He listened for the sake of it. The only thing that interested him was money. With money he had everything. With money he feared nothing in this world. Lamb looked at Mrs. Chow. She was only wearing a thin nightgown, her body exposed under the light. After so many years she was still beautiful. The plump beauty of a woman now was no less than the beauty of her youth in the past. He reached out and pulled her into his arms, ignoring Mrs. Chow's half-finished story. He pulled her onto the bed. In her daze, Mrs. Chow suddenly heard laughter echoing in the night, a familiar laugh. She opened her eyes and sat up. Lamb was still sleeping soundly beside her, snoring evenly. Like a sleepwalker, Mrs. Chow walked towards the door. That laughter seemed to urge her to follow, like an invitation, like reminding her of something. The hallway was dark, only dimly lit by the dim night lights. Her feet walked along the stairs to the upper floor, slowly walking to the room at the end of the hallway, as if she was following a shadowy figure in front of her. When she reached the room, the white shadow disappeared, the laughter also stopped. She woke up, looked around in confusion. There was no one around, only her standing alone in the wide, dark hallway and the silent door in front of her. Her heart was pounding. She quickly turned and walked away. When she reached the stairs downstairs, suddenly, she heard a noise from behind her. Slowly turned around, a figure was walking softly towards the room. She opened her eyes wide. It was a girl, not high. That figure stood in front of the door for a while, then stepped inside. The door opened gently, then closed. Silence enveloped her. She was stunned. Did she see wrongly? That figure, who was it, or was it? Using all her strength to calm down, she intended to turn down and call Lamb to wake up to go in and see what it was, but she couldn't believe her ears. Her legs were weak as if about to collapse. It was that piece of music. It was echoing in the room. Was someone sitting and playing the piano inside? Was it her? A hand grabbed her shoulder. She jumped in surprise and was about to scream when that hand reached out to cover her mouth. Her eyes widened. It turned out to be Lamb. He had woken up at some point, standing next to her. His face was also tense, his eyes looking towards the room. It was clear that he also heard that ghostly music. Mrs. Chow whispered. "Did you hear?" Lamb signaled for silence. His hand was holding a golf club he had found in her room. When Mrs. Chow went out, he also woke up and followed, and he also saw that shadow. With Lamb, Mrs. Chow was less afraid. Both of them tiptoed to the room. The music was still playing, almost reaching the end. The door was half closed. Mrs. Chow trembled as she looked from behind Lamb. The room was full of wind. The doors were wide open. The curtains fluttered. Her eyes seemed to roll back when she saw at the end of the room a girl in a white dress with loose hair sitting playing the piano. The darkness only cast a faint moonlight on that figure hidden in the darkness. Her face was completely submerged in her messy hair. Then slowly, that face looked up at her. Mrs. Chow screamed terribly and fainted. Mr. Man drank a lot tonight. Khan watched that strange man drink glass after glass. This was the 5th night Mr. Man came here. He came alone, called her and drank. That was it, 5 nights in a row. He didn't say much, didn't ask anything from her other than she just needed to sit next to him and pour wine. He was willing to pay a lot of money just for her to sit next to him all evening. He didn't say much. Khan didn't ask. She didn't know why she felt a very strange feeling when she was next to him. Had she seen him somewhere before? Khan felt very familiar with his face. When she stood up to get more wine, Tuan came and said, "This old man is crazy about you. Try to serve him. He's a rich man, honey." "Do you know him?" "I checked. He is the general director of one of the largest handicraft companies in Saigon, specializing in exporting abroad." "Oh, does he have any requests today?" "What do you want?" "Yes." "Sit down and pour some wine." Khan raised the bottle. "Pay that much money just for a girl to pour wine?" Khan shrugged, took the bottle of wine and returned to the table. For the first time in many years since Lean passed away, Mr. Man wanted to get drunk, especially when he didn't want to go home. Because he knew there was no one waiting for him at that house. Loneliness like age, piled up over the years. Looking at Khan, that face made him panic when he first saw it. He thought that his Lean was still there. She returned to him, to be by his side. He seemed to be immersed in a dream. Then he went looking, and found Khan. The moment he saw Khan sitting at the bar, he knew he was wrong. This girl was not her, not his Lean. But why did she look so similar? Was it fate teasing him, when it made him remember and torment him? Or did fate want him to meet this girl for some reason? The taxi stopped in front of the gate. Khan staggered to help Mr. Man out of the car. It was late at night. She looked up at the large, heavy gate in front of her. Khan hesitated when Mr. Man asked her to take him home. She suggested taking him somewhere else, but he calmly told the driver to go here. "But what if she sees me?" She was still embarrassed every time she addressed me. "Who?" "My wife." "It's okay." Mr. Man smiled slightly. "She won't say anything." The villa was large and quiet. Khan looked around in amazement. As soon as she took Mr. Man to his room, he lay down and slept like the dead. Khan sat next to him for a while and then lit a cigarette. Suddenly, she stopped and listened. The sound of a piano rang out in the night. Khan suddenly shivered. It was that sound, that melody. She stood up and looked around. Where did that sound come from in this large house? Or was she drunk? No, she didn't drink much today, to the point of not being able to distinguish between reality and fantasy. Khan stood up and opened the door and walked out. She looked at the long hallway, a bit overwhelmed by the size of the villa. What a big house. Khan thought to herself, trying to see in the night. Suddenly, Khan saw a girl standing at the foot of the stairs about 10 steps away from her. She was about to step up. Khan said, "Miss." The girl continued walking calmly, as if she didn't hear anything. Khan was about to open her mouth to call again when she quickly walked up the stairs. Khan hurriedly followed, and she realized that with each step up the stairs, the sound of the piano became clearer. The girl's white shirt was faintly visible before her eyes, hidden in the darkness, very slowly, but why couldn't Khan keep up? When she reached the end of the hallway, a door suddenly opened. The girl stopped as if waiting. Khan suddenly felt a chill down her spine. So familiar. Wasn't this the scene she often saw in her dreams? The girl in white shirt, long hair, the sound of the piano. Where was she? Around her was a long, dark hallway, covered by darkness, and there was only her and that figure. That strange girl suddenly seemed to turn to look at her, her face hidden behind her black hair, not clearly visible, but Khan still saw a melancholy look. Then, she walked in, behind the door. Khan clenched her hands, realizing that her hands were covered in cold sweat. She bit her lip, following. The room was large, full of wind, full of piano sounds, moonlight shining through the wide-open window. Khan trembled as she looked towards the source of the piano sound, the large piano. Her feet slowly approached that place, where the girl was looking down at the piano keys. "I'm dreaming, dreaming." Khan muttered, like every night, she would wake up. Khan moved closer, closer, she could even see the folds on the girl's shirt. Suddenly, the piano sound stopped, the girl slowly raised her face to look at Khan. Khan's eyes opened wide, as if about to pop out of her eyes in horror. The wind flapped the curtains wildly, and then the music started again. In a daze, Mr. Man saw Khan sitting next to him, smiling gently. He reached out to hold Khan's hand, then he was startled. No, it wasn't Khan. That long, jet-black hair, that gentle white shirt, that smile, that look in her eyes. It was her. He was startled, he held his head and sat up, looking around, looking for Khan. There was no one in the room. Suddenly, he was stunned. What was that sound? He thought he had misheard. That piece of music, he hadn't heard it for so many years, and now it was playing in this house. Who was playing it? Mrs. Chow? He wondered. No. Since that terrible incident, she hadn't come near the room upstairs, let alone playing it late at night like this. He quickly ran out, hurriedly walking up the stairs. Halfway there, he heard Mrs. Chow's terrified scream. Rushing over, Mr. Man saw Lam frantically helping Mrs. Chow out of the room. She was now limp like a lifeless body. Mr. Man saw on Lam's face a trace of fear that he had never seen before. The sound of the zither was still there. He looked at the wide-open door. Who was there? Entering, Mr. Man's heart clenched, he cried out in confusion, "Knock Lean." The girl stopped, her head still bowed, her fingers still on the piano keys. Mr. Man couldn't believe his eyes, was he dreaming or awake? He reached out his trembling hand to touch the girl and mumbled, "Is it you, Lean?" The face looked up at him, gentle, it was that look, he had long thought he had lost it. Suddenly, in a moment, that look became lifeless. She asked. "Who are you calling?" Mr. Man was startled. In front of him, looking at him blankly, was Khan. Mrs. Chow lay unconscious all day, and only regained consciousness in the afternoon. As soon as she opened her eyes, she saw Hai's face. "She's awake!" the girl cried. She opened her eyes, bewildered and still panicked, looking around, she was in her room. "Where is Lam?" she asked weakly. "Uncle." Before Hai could finish speaking, Lam rushed into the room. Seeing Mrs. Chow talking to Hai, he shouted, "Go out and let me talk." The girl walked out alone. Lam stood with his hands on his hips looking at Mrs. Chow. "Awake?" He jerked his chin. "Last night," her voice trembled, "did you see Lean?" "Oh my God. This house is really haunted, Miss Sao was right, she came back here to take revenge on us." "Shut up." Lam covered Mrs. Chow's mouth with his hand. "If Mr. Man hears you, it's all over." "What a ghost." "Mr. Man brought a girl home. She's in his room." "Huh?" Mrs. Chow was stunned. You keep believing those witches and one day. But, you clearly saw her too." "Which sister? There is no sister, the ghost you saw is a prostitute that old man brought back to fool around with. He's quite advanced now, he's about to go to hell and still." Lam gritted his teeth. "And you," he shouted, not even saying anything yet but already screaming loudly, "Luckily you didn't say anything." Mrs. Chow was stunned. "Because I saw Lean's face, I." Lam sat down, frowning. But it's strange." Lam continued. "No wonder she was so scared. Where did he find a girl who looked like her? I was scared last night. How could someone look so much like her? And even play the piano, what was he trying to do? Or..." Mrs. Chow suddenly woke up and remembered her daughter in the hospital. "It's that girl." Mr. Man stood silently beside the piano, his hand gently touching the shiny black wood. Khan stood beside him, her eyes fixed on the picture frame, in which was a girl whose face looked exactly like hers. "Do you know how to play that piece of music?" Mr. Man asked Khan. Khan looked at him blankly. Her mind was blank. She couldn't remember what had happened last night. She only vaguely remembered that she heard the sound of the piano, then she came to this room, then, she heard Mr. Mana's voice, and she found herself sitting here, next to the piano. But why did he ask that? She didn't know how to play the piano. I don't remember. Khan suddenly had a severe headache. Who was that girl? Mr. Man did not turn back, he was still busy picking up the fallen lotus petals that were falling into the water of the small pond in the corner of the garden. Who are you asking? The girl you brought home last night. Since when have you brought strangers home without telling me? He was indifferent to her words. So what have you done for me before? But I know everything you do, including Lamb's story with you. Mr. Mrs. Chow was stunned. Khan had just brought the basket to the door when she bumped into Phi. Phi looked at her, then at the basket. Where are you going? Yeah, I'm planning to travel for a few days. Mom, where are you going? Mrs. Lone said you checked out. Where are you going again, with whom? Or did Tuan instigate you again? No one told me to go, I want to go. Phi looked into Khan's eyes, he held her hand tightly and desperately begged. Khan, don't go. Khan jerked his hand away and turned away. Phi let his hand fall and stood still, absent-minded. Mrs. Chow and Lam sat looking at each other in the living room. What is he going to announce? Lam asked Mrs. Chow. I don't know either. She said so, but in her heart she was vaguely afraid of something she didn't want to think about. When Mr. Man walked in, she was startled to see Khan behind him. Why is she still here? Lam also widened his eyes in surprise. Mr. Man slowly sat down and said, I called everyone here to announce something, I have adopted Khan. A stunned silence, Mrs. Chow stood up angrily. I don't agree, never. Lam spoke up. Why did you bring a girl like her into this house? Do you know that she is a whore who specializes in extorting money from men? I know her, I know where she works, why did you bring such a worthless thing into the house? And Tien Kim? What will she think about her father? Mr. Man sat silently listening, then calmly said. I know, but I've decided, the lawyer has done the paperwork. You? Mrs. Chow exclaimed. Everyone has a past, you two understand that better than anyone. Mr. Man said softly before turning away. Leaving Mrs. Chow and Lam stunned. Khan took Mr. Man to the room with the guitar. This used to be Nok Lean's room. Is that the girl? Khan pointed to the photo frame. Mr. Man looked lovingly at the face in the photo. His voice lowered. Yeah, this whole house is hers too. She used to live here with her father. Khan sat looking at the lotus flowers blooming. This villa is so beautiful, she thought to herself. She never expected to live here, to become the daughter of a rich tycoon. From now on her life would be different, no longer anxious and worried. For a long time, she had been fed up with her current life, she wanted to escape it but didn't know how. Wasn't this a good opportunity? Wasn't it luck that made her look very similar to Mr. Mana's ex-fiancé, that loyal man? While she was lost in thought, the phone rang, it was Tuan. He was at the door. This villa is really beautiful. But is it true that he intends to adopt me? Tuan asked while looking around. Yes. The lawyer is doing the paperwork. Because I have the same face as his ex-girlfriend, strange? Not only is she my ex-lover, she's also the owner of this area, this place is named after her. As far as I know, this place belongs to Mr. Mana's wife. Oh, I heard him say that Mrs. Chow was adopted by this family. She is an adopted child. After Mrs. Lean died, the property belonged to Mrs. Chow. Adopted child, like me? Then later, part of his estate will be yours too. Khan nodded. He said I won't work at the bar anymore. Tuan sighed. It's too bad for you, well, just remember me when I'm rich. Looking at Tuan's fake gesture, Khan got angry. Oh, all these years I've worked for you, you only have profit, what loss? Why do you say that? All these years I have taken care of you and loved you. Love me? You love yourself. Love money, yes. Am I just a commodity to you that you sell over and over again? Okay, you go home, I'll see you later. Khan lit a cigarette and stood smoking, his anger still lingering. F.C.K. That hypocrite. She tiredly leaned back in her chair. Tuan and Phi grew up with her. In the same neighborhood, Tuan's family was a little better off than Phi's. Since childhood, he was a smart, clever guy, the complete opposite of the honest Phi. Playing with Tuan was always more fun because he was stylish and had a good mouth. A connoisseur of partying, he dragged her into parties. At that time she was just 15 or 16 years old. She was impulsive and fun-loving. Then she met a man, also introduced by Tuan. She fell in love, madly in love, but her family prevented her from leaving home to follow him. The beautiful love at first gradually became painful, the brutal beatings he poured on her in his drunken stupors. She gritted her teeth and endured, because she loved him. Then came the day he beat her to the point of hospitalization. The 5-month fetus in her womb was gone. She was stunned and collapsed when the doctor informed her that she would not be able to get pregnant again. Walking home in humiliation, she shed tears looking at the altar filled with incense smoke. Her father had passed away and she could not see his face for the last time, and her mother had also sadly passed away not long after. In her helpless situation, Tuan was the person she could trust. He spent money to help her with the funeral, find a house to live in because the family house had been sold to pay for her mother's medicine and pay off her father's debts. He also said he would find her a job. She saw him as her savior. Unexpectedly, Khan took a strong drag on her cigarette. Humph. Looking at your appearance, you were able to seduce him. I wonder how you did it. Mrs. Chow had been standing beside him for a while. Khan turned around with a stern face, and Lam was there too. You go ask her husband. If you're smart, get out of here. Don't even dream of staying in this house, and don't even think about getting anything from here. I will never allow it. You're nothing more than a whore. Really? As far as I know. Khan smirked. Tomorrow the procedure will be completed. I will officially be his daughter. But, you want to know what I will do? You are old, what use is knowing? Besides, as far as I know, you and he have been separated for a long time. Why are you jealous of me? Khan laughed loudly, blowing smoke at Mrs. Chow. Her anger made her speechless. You better watch out. She was about to rush at Khan. She just wanted to grab the hair of the shameless whore in front of her and tear it out to vent her anger. But Lam stopped her, pulled her away. You better watch out, you little brat. Khan sneered at the threat. She suddenly fell silent when she saw Lam's eyes. Those eyes made her feel cold all over. Suddenly Khan saw Hai peeking out. She waved him over. He walked over, looking at Khan with a frightened look. Sit down here and talk to me for a bit. What's up? Just sit and chat. Actually, Khan wanted to ask the girl to understand more about what happened here. She's still young, if you ask her nicely, she'll tell you right away. Why do you seem scared of me? Do I look scary? Khan Hai was hesitant and shy. You look like Miss Lean. Yes, you just look a bit like her face. Miss Lean has long black hair. I heard that Miss Lean was very beautiful and gentle when she was alive. Why are you afraid? The girl looked up at Khan with frightened eyes. Since the day you came to this house, every night I see. See what? The night you came, the wind was blowing so hard, the cat was meowing loudly. I was lying in my room and kept hearing the sound of the door banging and the cat meowing. It was terrifying. I ran out to check the door. When I stood upstairs and looked down, I saw a person in a white shirt, long hair, walking from the main door, through the living room and up the stairs. I was so scared, I quickly hid behind the china cabinet and saw her continue to go to Ms. Lean's room, but she didn't go anywhere, her feet were dangling on the floor. I also saw her shirt was covered in blood. Did you see her face? Khan interrupted. Suddenly the girl trembled. I caught a glimpse of her face, horrible, full of blood, not a human face, so scary. I suddenly remembered the story of Ms. Lean falling from the upper floor and breaking her skull, her body crushed, covered in blood. I was so scared that I quickly ran back to my room and closed the door. As soon as I entered, I heard the sound of the piano, then a moment later, Ms. Chow screamed, but I didn't dare to go out anymore, until Mr. Lam came in and called me, then I dared to go out. Do you hear the sound of the piano too? I hear it every night these past few nights. Every night my uncle and aunt turn on the lights to brighten the whole house, but at exactly 12 midnight the piano starts playing music. Last night my uncle ran upstairs but didn't see anything. But he didn't tell me about this. Khan muttered. I'm so scared, sister. This house is really haunted. I heard about it before but I didn't believe it. There are rumors around here that sometimes there's a girl in a white dress standing alone right at the corner of the street over there, by the poplar tree at the end of the garden looking out there. Once, someone saw her and stopped to ask her, then she looked up. That person was so startled and scared that he could only run away on his motorbike. People said that the girl's face was crushed, and she looked covered in blood. It was horrible. I heard it and it was creepy but I didn't believe it, but that night I saw it for real. I probably won't dare stay here anymore. I wanted to tell you this morning but you've been busy all the time. But you're sleeping here tonight, you'll hear it. Okay, I'll go in and clean up soon. It's almost dark. Why did Ms. Lean fall from the building? Do you know? I heard she committed suicide by jumping from her room's balcony. The corner of the garden where she fell is where you are now building a lotus pond. Darkness gradually fell on the tree roots, the flowers also blurred the bright colors of the day. Khan looked at the lotus flowers reaching high, emitting a gentle fragrance. She raised her head, from this place was right below the balcony of that strange room. So high. No wonder. Suddenly, a current seemed to flash through Khan's mind. She held her head, a vague image appeared in her memory, she looked at the row of high fences woven with thick ivy leaves in front of her. There was a small gate leading outside. She knelt down, vaguely recalling the memories. The scar on her head suddenly ached. In her mind suddenly appeared the white dress falling from above along with a terrible scream. That dress fell in front of her, at that time standing behind a flower bush, that bloody body, the deformed face and two eyes staring at her. Her hand reached out to her as if asking for help, then suddenly let go. The pool of blood was splattered. She looked up, there was a face looking down from the balcony. She hugged her head tightly. That face was. Khan went to look for Mr. Man but couldn't find him. He called and found out that he had something to do with an important partner and would be late. I need to see you right away. I have something to say. What's up? It's very important. I can only tell you when I see you. I can't go home now. I will come back to see you as soon as I finish work, okay? Khan hung up the phone, absent-minded, her heart was in turmoil. What should she do? Suddenly, she picked up the phone and called Phi. Now the only person she could trust was Phi. He had never harmed her and was always worried about her. The phone rang endlessly on the other end. Pick up the phone, Phi. Khan called out to herself. Hello, the familiar voice made her breathe a sigh of relief. Me, Khan, where are you? Come to me, it's urgent. What's wrong, are you being beaten up again? Phi's voice was sarcastic. You devil, I'm not kidding, I remember everything. Do you remember when I was little, my father took me out and I had an accident? I remember what happened then. Khan did not expect that outside the door, a figure was lurking, eavesdropping on everything. It was Lam. He had observed Khan since she sat talking with Hai, then followed her to the garden, saw Khan's absent-minded face and ran back to her room. He followed her too. Mrs. Chow paced back and forth in the room, feeling restless. She had just called Mrs. Sao the hunchback but couldn't get through, no one picked up. A long time later, a cold stranger's voice told her not to call anymore. Mrs. Sao the hunchback had died last night. Mrs. Chow was stunned. Just a few days ago, Mrs. Chow was still able to talk to her, and yet, she suddenly remembered the last words she said. Well, it's karma, karma must be paid. Mrs. Chow pursed her lips. No. She didn't believe it, she couldn't sit still and endure it, no matter who or what it was, they couldn't take away what she had, what she had spent so much effort and time to get to where she was today. Lamb opened the door and rushed in, he hissed. "Oh no, this time we're all dead, you and me, it turns out that Khan." "How is it?" "Do you remember that day, there was a little girl standing downstairs, when Lean fell from upstairs, that little girl was Khan." Mrs. Chow heard it like a thunderclap, had to quickly sit down on the bed to keep from falling, she stuttered. "What? How do you know?" "I just heard him talking on the phone with his friend." "Oh my God. Why did you say you already dealt with that girl?" "At that time, I chased him to the corner of the street and he was hit by a car, seriously injured, unconscious. When he entered the hospital, I also went there to see the situation and found out that he had brain damage, he couldn't remember anything. I followed him for several years but nothing happened, then his family suddenly moved somewhere unknown. I thought he couldn't remember, but unexpectedly, he was Khan's daughter." Lamb scratched his head. "You are useless," Mrs. Chow exclaimed. "It happened so long ago. Even if he says it now, no one will believe him. We can say he wants to slander." Mrs. Chow held her head in thought. She stood up. "Where are you going?" She did not answer. Her mind was full of thoughts. She went to find Khan. Khan fidgeted in the room, holding the phone in her hand, waiting for Phi to come. He said he would come right away. Suddenly, she jumped. Mrs. Chow stood in front of the door, looking at her with cold eyes. Suddenly she remembered the image of the white dress covered in blood, her heart pounded. She said, "Who are you waiting for?" "I am not waiting for anyone." "Are you lonely because Mr. Man hasn't come back yet? Can I come talk to you?" "I'm going to bed early, you should go to bed early too." Khan pretended to be calm. Suddenly a premonition made her feel uneasy. She walked to close the door. Suddenly Mrs. Chow grabbed her hand, her sharp nails digging into Khan's skin. "You better watch your mouth, or I'll make you shut up." Khan pushed her away. "What do you want?" Mrs. Chow was pushed so hard that she fell to the floor. Khan turned her back to the room and was hit hard on the head. She turned around in pain and saw Mrs. Chow holding the bronze statue in the hallway. Khan felt her vision blurred and then darkened. "What are you doing?" Lamb ran to see Khan lying on the floor with his head covered in blood. Mrs. Chow put the statue down and sighed. "Is it dead?" Lamb turned Khan's face. "No, still breathing. Why did you hit him?" Mrs. Chow glared at Lamb. "You want me to stand still and watch it take everything away, everything we have, house, company, property. Remember, when we were street kids, were we any different from dogs? No, I'd rather die than be like that anymore. You have to help me, we have the same goal. As long as you help me, you will still be rich and happy like now." Suddenly, the phone rang, Khan's cell phone. It was Phi. After calling for a long time without getting through, Phi texted, "I'm at the door." Mrs. Chow held the phone and read the message. Lamb said, "Okay. You stay here and watch this one. I'll go down and lure the other guy up." Having said that, he went downstairs. Mrs. Chow stood there looking at Khan, who was still breathing weakly. An idea flashed through her mind. She picked up the statue and raised it up, intending to finish Khan off. She approached, step by step, intending to deliver a fatal blow to the head. Mrs. Chow's eyes widened, a hand reached up to grab her hand. Khan woke up. No, that bloody hand. Before her eyes was that face, Lean's face with cold, ghostly black eyes. Her hair was long, her white dress was soaked in blood. She slowly stood up, pressed her face close to hers. Mrs. Chow screamed. That face, she had seen it and it haunted her for so many years. It was Lean's face when she died, crushed, looking so disgusting that she almost fainted. She screamed, jumped up, ran away in panic. That white shirt shadow, floating, gliding after her. Mrs. Chow's legs were shaking, she stumbled again and again. She wanted to run out of the house, but she saw in front of her was the piano. It turned out she was in that room. The nightmare every night had come true before her eyes. She turned around. Where was she? The door led to a dark hallway, nothing could be seen. She was still sitting on the floor, panting. The room was quiet and cold, with only her in the darkness, the faint moonlight shining through the windows. Suddenly, somewhere in the quiet space, a child's laughter rang out. So from now on I have a younger sister, we will live together in this room. Do you think our room is nice? The girl had long black hair, smiled brightly, and raised her hand. Chow, hold my hand, let's go out. Ms. Lean, you won't leave me or say I'm ugly, right? No, I will be by your side, play with you, you are my sister. Mrs. Chow watched the two girls happily holding hands and skipping away, moving away. Then she heard music ringing in her ears, Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata. Next to the piano were two young girls. Here, Chow, this note must be played like this, you must put all your heart into the music, only then will it be good. No, Lean. I can't play as well as you. Why? Maybe because I've never been in love. So I don't understand. This song is written for people who are in love. No wonder you often play for Mr. Man. On your engagement day, when you played this song, I saw him looking at you so longingly. I really admire your love. You will meet someone who loves you. I'm not as beautiful as you, nor as good as you. There you go again. Who said that? I think you're very beautiful, smart, and clever. The sound of the zither resonated in her ears and brain, becoming more and more intense towards the end. The past and present rushed over Mrs. Chow like a waterfall. She screamed. Stop, stop. The music did not stop but became more and more intense. She screamed in pain, blood flowed from her ears and nose, wetting her hands that were holding her head. She fainted. So you love man? Yes, and he loves me too. You saw it just now. He came into my room and asked to stay with me. I couldn't hide my feelings anymore. We really love each other. Lean opened her eyes wide in shock, the world seemed to spin under her feet. Two people. I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner. It wasn't until he hugged me that I realized my true feelings. Leave. Lean covered her ears and screamed. Stop talking, you traitor. Lean stood up and looked at Chow angrily. It was you seduced him. I believe Mr. Man would never betray me. I will ask him to clarify this matter. Just ask. Chow's attitude changed from fear to indifference, surprising Lean. Then he would tell her how we loved each other, how there were nights when we sat and talked until morning, or he would tell her how he liked me to kiss him. That he was sick of her whining and whining. He told me that I was the one who brought him happiness, he would marry me. Slap. Lean raised her hand and slapped Chow in the face. Shut up, you traitor, I have never treated you badly, this family treats you like a daughter. Yet you dare to steal your sister's husband. You are nothing more than a street urchin. If it weren't for me asking my father to bring you back, you would have starved to death. Chow was slapped so suddenly that she couldn't dodge. Chow covered her face, her eyes flashed with fire, she screamed. You dare to hit me, who are you to insult me? Chow rushed forward and grabbed Lean's hair. Suddenly, Lean panicked and stepped back. Chow now seemed to be crazy and rushed forward and pushed her hard. Lean fell out of the windy railing. Chow, please, pull me up, I'm so scared. Lean's face was pale, her hands tried to hold on to the railing, her body swayed in the air like a fragile leaf about to fall. She looked at her younger sister standing above, pleading miserably. She knew that if she fell, only a horrible and tragic death awaited her. Chow responded to her with an icy gaze. Her face now looked like a grim reaper wanting to take her life. But she still begged Chow, hoping that she still had a bit of human compassion. Chow sat down, very slowly, like a beast playing with its prey, enjoying watching the despair and death happening right before her eyes. Her face was completely devoid of any emotion. I beg you. Chow. Save me. You know, I hate you so much. You always act like you're better than me. Why should I pull you up? You look down on me. No, I don't look down on you, I'm the one who brought you back. But you still see me as a street kid. Lower than you. Help me, I can't take it anymore. Lean's fingers are in pain. I don't want to die yet, Chow. If you die, Chow said, giving Lean her hand to hold on to. Lean quickly grabbed her hand. Then I will have everything, right? Lean startled and looked at Chow. In that moment, looking into her eyes, Lean felt death. Chow bent down to look closely at Lean's face. I want to tell you, you guessed right, I seduced man, he was drunk just now so I intentionally brought him to my room. We haven't had anything happen yet. Because he loves you. But, if you die, he will need someone to be by his side to comfort him, I will be that person. Lean screamed terribly, Chow shook her hand causing Lean to fall into the vast space. Lean's tears flowed out and fell into nothingness. She looked up at the high blue sky and then before her eyes was only blood. Chow, staring down, her hands clenched. Lam from somewhere pushed the door open and ran in, looking terrified. Chow, what are you doing? You killed someone. Mrs. Chow opened her eyes and found herself lying on the balcony. The music had stopped, only the wind howled. She felt cold, a chill that went straight to her spine. Extreme fear made her mind numb. Lean, come here and scare me, she screamed, then laughed loudly. You are just a dead person, what can you do to me? I have everything. Yes, I am inferior to you, but I have everything. I have the person you love, I have this house, I have everything of yours. A terrifying scream made her stop. Slowly, in the darkness, a white shadow hovered. Mrs. Chow shivered at the smell of blood. Before her eyes, that shadow approached. Those eyes were filled with hatred even though one eye seemed to be about to pop out. The face was covered in blood, crushed. You could see the white bones. Blood stained the white silk dress. It was Lean's face when people brought her in from the garden. At that time, Lean's eyes were still wide open. The bloody hand raised and pointed at Mrs. Chow. She heard a whistling sound in the wind. Die, go, die. Don't come any closer. She closed her eyes, disgusted by that face. She backed away. Suddenly she opened her eyes, screamed. That bony hand was holding her hand tightly, pulling her down. She screamed. Lam. Help. That face pressed close to hers. She smelled a disgusting stench. Her back was pressed against the railing. She almost fell. She saw death again, but this time it would be her. Sister Lean, forgive me, I know I'm wrong, forgive me. She groaned. Those black eyes, staring at her face, from the torn mouth hissed, sounding like a call to the spirit. Blood debt, paid, with blood. Lam, after luring Phi into the house, luring him when he wasn't paying attention, he beat Phi until he was unconscious and then tied him up in the living room. Hearing Mrs. Chow's miserable screams upstairs, he rushed up. Seeing the door open, he rushed in. Then, under the dim moonlight, on the balcony, Mrs. Chow was floating, her feet not touching the ground. Next to her was Lam screamed in horror, looking at Mrs. Chow struggling to reach out for help, but he was so scared that he collapsed to the floor. He could only stare at the horrible scene before him. Helplessly, she tried to reach out to grab the railing, but the rotten wood under her hand broke into pieces. In that moment, she saw Lean's face as she fell, in pain, in despair. She looked down at the dark space like a grave, her body limp. Lam opened his eyes wide, wanting to scream but had no strength left. He saw Mrs. Chow looking at him, the look of someone who knew he was about to die. Then in a blink of an eye, she fell down, as if merging with that terrible white shadow. Lam heard her scream and Lean's scream from years ago. A moment later, he crawled closer, looked down, and saw Mrs. Chow's body lying face down in a pool of blood, next to the lotus pond. The wind howled all night long. Khan was daydreaming in the music, looking at Lean sitting at the piano, her fingers passionately moving over the keys. Why does today's music sound so sad? When the music ended, Lean stopped. She left the piano, walked towards the balcony that was wide open to the moonlight, her blood shirt shining in the night. The room was dimly lit. Ms. Lean. Khan exclaimed. Lean stopped, her eyes looked at Khan sadly. Then, she slowly stepped into the area of light and faded like smoke. In the blink of an eye, that figure was only like smoke. Ms. Lean. Khan jumped up, startled. She saw Phi. Where am I? She was bewildered, then realized she was in her room in Knockleen Villa. There were noisy sounds outside. Phi, is Mr. Man back yet? I have to tell him that. Khan held her head was in excruciating pain, it was wrapped in white bandages. It's all over, don't worry. And, what do you mean? What happened to your head? I was knocked unconscious by Mr. Lamb when I entered the house, then he tied me up and had to ask the maid to untie me to escape. Oh my God. Why can't I remember anything? I only remember that I was beaten by Mrs. Chow, bleeding a lot. That cruel woman wanted to shut my mouth. She's dead. Star? When I escaped, the maid led me upstairs and saw Mr. Lamb with a pale face, trembling, kneeling on the balcony. You were lying next to the guitar with your head full of blood. Mr. Lamb kept screaming for mercy. I saw a corner of the railing had collapsed. I went to look and saw her lying in the yard. I told the maid to run and call the police. It was just when Mr. Man came back. The police were still working. She died? Fell from upstairs? Fell next to the lotus pond, right? Khan asked. She suddenly shivered. Right. Retribution, Khan muttered. What did you say? It's retribution. Where is Mr. Man? He seems to be in the room. Mr. Man sat next to the guitar. Lamb's testimony shocked him. He was so scared that he confessed everything about Lean's death. Until now, he still did not believe that Lean committed suicide, when the wedding was only a few days away. He still thought it was an accident. He did not expect that. Lean. He called softly, then closed his eyes, imagining that Lean was sitting next to him, her hands gliding over the piano keys for him to listen to the soft music he loved. A gentle breeze blew into the room, bringing a few dry leaves. There's a ghost, this house has a ghost, it killed her. Lamb's voice was hoarse, his body kept shrinking, as if fear had driven him crazy. The two policemen tried their best to keep him still. When he saw Mrs. Chow's face lifted up, he screamed. Her face was crushed like Lean's before, her eyes were still wide open, terrified. I saw with my own eyes it kill her, that ghost, Lean, it wanted revenge. He kept screaming as he was handcuffed and taken away. Khan looked at Mrs. Chow's body covered in a white cloth, blood staining the cloth. She looked at Mr. Man holding Lean's picture. She looked at Phi, who was gently helping her sit down on the chair, his rough hands now so gentle. Her nightly nightmares would end, she knew that. And the nightmares of her life, every day, perhaps from today on, would not be so dark anymore.